Okay, so we've just spoken about some problem resolution and management, and now we're going to discuss some particular tools which you may find useful. Just reviewing them, we've mentioned them, and you may or may not remember them, or you may remember them in a way that you remember them, and it's always useful to hear exactly how to use them again. Okay, so what's validation? Validation is a technique, and that's a very important point. It's technique. It's not a miracle pill or something like that. And it is the recognition that we can accept the thoughts, feelings, sensation, and behaviors of the other and of ourselves if we're talking about self-validation. And the fact is that that's not an obvious thing, right? That you can accept the thoughts, feelings, sensations, and behaviors of the other. Sometimes it's easier to do that. Sometimes it's more difficult to do that because of where we are emotionally or because of what they're doing. And sometimes, as we know very well, what they're doing is invalid, so we can't accept that. But in brief, the idea is to recognize and accept. And validation is a way of demonstrating acceptance, letting the other know that we believe that he has the right to his own perspective, expressing our recognition of his inherent wisdom. And this is an interesting kind of DBT notion that our loved ones have inherent wisdom because they're human beings. And certainly, they're largely speaking, they're not psychotic, and largely speaking, they're existing in this realm. They're grounded, and they have inherent wisdom, and they may be acting upon that inherent wisdom. And it's very important that we enable them to understand that we think that they have inherent wisdom, that they have the right to their own perspective, and that we can accept it from their own perspective and within the context of their own wisdom. These thoughts or these feelings are valid. So to zoom out again, validation is a simple stratagem designed to reduce emotion, because the minute you see that people accept your emotions, you don't have to, keep beating, battering on the door. It strengthens interpersonal trust. Again, someone sees you, that's going to make you trust them a lot more. I have a meme somewhere on my computer that very few people have ever changed when the person giving them advice clearly doesn't understand them, right? And you need to have trust in order to, induce change or build a relationship. So consequently, to reducing emotion and strengthening interpersonal trust, validation bolsters interpersonal relationships. Validation is the gateway to change as it allows the conversation to continue, right? We're not closing them down. We're showing that we understand and that we're curious and that we would like to understand more. What are the foundations of validation? Be curious. Be curious about the other. Oh, you came home. Wow, that's fantastic. When did you get out? Or how are you feeling to be out, right? I mean, how are you feeling is always tricky with people with borderline personality disorder, as I found out with my daughter last week, because that they don't know how they feel, and that doesn't make them feel good to be asked how they feel. However, be that as it may, you can be curious about, what's going on in your life. How was the trip? Etc. Make benign assumptions. I'm sure that's been drummed into you. Realize that there's more than one way to look at things, also a basic assumption. And make the assumption that we all do our very best at any given point in time with the skills and strength we have at our disposal. That's, classic DBT. So in order to validate, if you can be curious and get more information about what's going on, and in the meantime, or even after getting the information, you can make benign assumptions about why they did what they did. And if you can realize, again, the wisdom that's coming from their side. And finally, to really be able to give them the benefit of the doubt. And again, this is not really the SelfSoothe, but to make the assumption that we all do our very best at any given point in time with the skills and strength we have at our disposal. I think that should be, stamped on everybody's forehead, because it's true. It's true. It's an assumption. But except for some people who are really, really trying not to do their best, most people really are. And especially our loved ones who have BPD, I really think that they really are trying. And the best they can do is the best they can do. Okay, you know, but that doesn't mean that we should say they're not trying. And here we have a nice picture, and I'm sure you all get the idea. Okay, defining self. Okay, so that's what I had to say about validation. Now we're moving on to self-validation. Self-validation means taking ourselves seriously and allowing ourselves to feel what we feel, right? Our primary emotions, which you may remember, those emotions that we get first, the adaptive emotions. Someone cuts us off when we're driving, the fear that goes through us before we get angry and start screaming and cursing. That's the primary emotion, the fear, which may save our lives because we hit the brakes and don't get into an accident. So if we self-validate, we think what we allow ourselves to think what we think and want what we want with acceptance and without judgment, second guessing, self-loathing, or contempt. And essentially, this is also what we do for our loved one, right? When we validate them, we take them seriously. We let them feel what they want. We let them think what they think. And we let them want what they want with acceptance. Acceptance that from their perspective, this is legit. We don't have to agree, but it's legit. And without judgment, second guessing, self-loathing, or self-contempt, that's, obviously extremely important for us when we self-validate or show self-compassion, not to judge, second guess, self-loathe, or engage in self-contempt. Okay, we're going to practice a little self-compassion here. If you could all sit comfortably in your chairs, you can put your feet on the ground if they reach. You can put your hands in your lap in a comfortable position, open palm, accepting. Sit up straight with your back against the chair or however that's comfortable for you. And just start breathing. Just start breathing. You can breathe 6-6 if you want, nothing complicated. In and out. Rosh, Hashanah, Rosh, Hashanah, in and out. Okay. And now I'd like you to imagine a difficult situation at home or at work. Not too hard a situation, but a difficult one. And flesh it out. Think about it. Who are the people involved? And how is it making me feel? And how is it making my body feel? I'll give you a minute to get into that scenario. Difficult situation. And now, as you're feeling comfortably agitated by this difficulty, maybe feeling butterflies or tension, or your heart rate going up, I would like you to slowly and deliberately engage in 3 steps. Number 1, be mindful. Admit to yourself that this is a painful moment. Admit that this is a trying situation. Admit that this hurts. Just admit that this is a painful moment. And then express your common humanity. Cheer yourself up by asserting your common humanity. I am not alone. Anybody with a boss like that, with a situation like this, would feel this way. I'm not crazy. Anyone in this situation would feel this way. It is very human to feel this way in my situation. Or, to channel Alan Fusetti, welcome to the human race. And after you've expressed this common humanity, be kind to yourself. Tell yourself using a slow and calm voice, I really am a fantastic parent. I really do work very hard to succeed. May I have the ability to accept myself as I am. May I have the ability to accept reality as it is. May I have the strength to remain strong in my principles. Just be kind to yourself. And you don't have to give yourself all those messages, obviously. You can just give yourself one or two. I really am a fantastic parent. I really am fantastic. I deserve to hear that because I came out tonight at 8 o'clock to this thing so that I could be a better parent or spouse or sibling. And if you're comfortable doing so, you can even give yourself a hug. Give yourself a butterfly hug, right? One hand on each shoulder and just really give yourself a tight hug. And it's nice to give a tight hug, to feel that someone's hugging you, even if you know it's yourself. Pat yourself on the hand, right? Digging up your hand, give yourself a little massage. Or drink a cup of nice hot tea, conveniently sitting next to you. Just do something nice for yourself in the moment. And now you can start breathing again. If you had stopped, if you didn't, that's much better. You can just breathe 6-6 and come back to us. Obviously, you're still muted, but this is mindful self-compassion. This is being mindful of the situation, admitting to yourself that it's a painful moment, expressing your common humanity, welcome to the human race, and then being kind to yourself. Saying something to yourself that makes you feel good. Wow, I did save up and have a phenomenal vacation. Or giving yourself a hug or a pat. And in light of that, what is the goal of self-care or self-compassion or self-validation? So, true self-care is not salt baths and chocolate cake, even though, it's nice. And, someone takes us out to a movie, we enjoy it. It is making the choice to build a life you don't need to regularly escape from. True self-care is building a life you don't need to regularly escape from. However, sometimes, in order to be effective, we will have to settle for less. The chocolate cake, the ice cream, the salt baths, the vacation, and those are all good things that, help with self-care. But ultimately, our goal is to build a life that we don't need to escape from regularly. Okay, moving on to the last two skills I want to review with you now. Distress tolerance. What is the purpose of distress tolerance? To prevent the distressed person from engaging in behaviors that might worsen the situation by distracting the mind, right? When we're in a difficult situation, we react very instinctively, sometimes just with our amygdala, and that will oftentimes mean that we worsen the situation. Here we have two people grasping flotation devices in the middle of the Adriatic, and if they start thrashing about in the water, and if they don't take care to cover their heads in some way, or they start drinking the water, which is salt water, they will worsen the situation. On the other hand, if they can start counting to 1,000 by twos, twos might not be so good by threes, I don't know, then they'll distract their minds and they won't worsen the situation. Now, of course, they won't have solved the problem. They won't feel any better. They won't, and they certainly won't be avoiding their lives. They're still stuck here in the Adriatic, counting, but they haven't made the situation worse, right? And that is a big deal. If there are rescue boats that will eventually come and pick them up, they need to just hang on and stay there. And it's certainly, we're not having them count to 1,000 by threes in order to give them something to do. We're doing it because we want them to be distracted from their distress so they don't make the situation worse. And again, you can do that too. You can have worry beads at the table when your child comes down first night Rosh Hashanah. You can, have some chocolate to slip in your mouth and suck on. You can, do all kinds of things, right? Which are distress tolerance skills. There are many of them. Let's talk about them now. Some of you may remember, this acronym, IMPROVE. So IMPROVE stands for imagery. You can do some kind of guided imagery, even in the moment, in 2 minutes at the table. Maybe even engage everyone in there with you. Right? That could be a very nice Rosh Hashanah, exercise. You can try to find meaning in your suffering. My son is at my dining room, my table. That's a wonderful thing. I'm teaching the other kids that he matters too. Just because he's difficult doesn't mean we throw him out. Again, it would be good to talk with them beforehand because they may feel, you should be throwing them out. But certainly you can use finding meaning as a way of distracting yourself from the distress. Prayer is always good. Relaxation, right? Obviously, you're probably not going to do that now, but if you have a pad under your chair or something that you can rub your feet back and forth and massage them, maybe that'll help you relax right now. You could focus on the present moment in time, the particular siman, the particular word, the particular taste of the honey as it goes down your throat. Stay in that moment and don't let the difficult mood drag you away from that. Here, taking a brief vacation from life is not so relevant, but maybe you can go to the kitchen to check the soup, right? And finally, you can use mantras to cheer yourself on. I can get over this. It's not going to go on forever. That's kind of what I like. It won't go on forever. I'm doing the best I can in the present moment. I am a fantastic mother. And again, this is work you can do before. What are mantras that work for me, right? Maybe you like to say skippy doodle doo, I don't know. Or supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Whatever works for you, use that mantra to cheer yourself along. And finally, you can try to self-soothe. I've kind of mentioned some of this in terms of distracting, but there's 6 senses, right? We know them: vision, hearing, smell, touch, taste, and movement, the new kinesis one. And it's crucial to prepare several responses before the crisis hits and to practice them with focused mindfulness. In other words, when you put that honey in your mouth with the little piece of apple, really focus on that taste. Really be in the moment. With the sour apple, I guess if it's green, mine usually are, I don't know, or the red apple if it's sweet, and the honey, and let it swish around your mouth. And where is it, where do you feel the tastes on your tongue? And how is it going down your throat? And really, really focus on being in that moment and in pleasuring, giving yourself pleasure through these various ways. It could be by hearing, saying the bracha or whatever. It could be by vision, looking at the table, smell of the food, right? And you can prep these things so that you have a self-soothing devices or elements near you. Maybe everybody should have one, right? Okay, I won't go into tip now. I assume that you remember what an ice dive is. Intense exercise, paced breathing. Could be 4-4. It could be 4-6, right? When we breathe more out, so we let the body know that we're calm, and you can get your oxytocin can flow instead of your cortisol. Or you can do paired muscle relaxation from your head to your toes, which will also physiologically alter your state. Okay, so we've reached the end here, and I'd like to thank you for being here. To remember that hope is always alive as long as we give it the space to be. Skills are always useful and always let us be more effective, even if they don't solve all the problems, and they don't. And most importantly, let's all have a happy new year. whatever else may be going on in our lives. There are a lot of good things that are going on in our lives with other people who we love, with our loved one even. And those things are also part of the framework and the rubric of our lives. So let's scrutinize the past without depressing ourselves or shaming ourselves, and let's look towards a future which is more skillful, full of hope. And Bezrat Hashem, good things will happen to us all in the coming year.